Welcome back to the Animo Show,
where the X is silent.
My name is Anthony, and this is my co-host for today, Nick. He is my cousin. Before we get started with the Mortal Kombat review, we're going to go ahead and get to know a little bit more about Nick. So Nick, what inspired you to start collecting movies?
Ooh-wee. I would have to say, aside from just being a kid, being plopped in front of the TV, watching movies all the time, shows all the time with my brother, what really inspired me would be my uncle. My uncle was a huge movie, TV show, anime collector, and he just introduced me to so many things that it kind of rubbed off on a lot of the family. And
True.
I definitely feel like he was a big inspiration to everybody, and we all kind of developed this sort of like love for cinema after that, and we all wanted to start collecting things. So that's definitely a huge inspiration, probably the biggest.
True. So that being said, what are some of your favorite movies?
Ooh, man. I'll narrow it down to definitely a few movies that are completely, I could just recycle. Day in and day out, I can watch these movies forever. Mm-hmm. One would be Prisoners, the movie Prisoners. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. A pretty famous movie. Just a very complete, well-made movie altogether. Another one would definitely be the famous Quentin Tarantino movie, Inglourious Basterds. Inglourious Basterds is definitely one of my favorite movies for sure. We got, going back in the old days, I definitely used to watch a movie all the time. I still watch to this day. It's called The Abyss. Mm-hmm. It's an old James Cameron movie, actually, and it is amazing.
Ed Harris.
Yeah, Ed Harris. Definitely one of my favorite actors for sure. Another one would be Inception. I mean, I'm sure everybody fell in love.
A dream within a dream within a dream.
What? I'm just kidding. Yeah, Inception is definitely up there too. Lawless would be another movie for me.
Seeing some sort of trend here.
Yeah, dude. Good acting goes a long way for sure, and good directing goes a long way.
Specific acting. From a specific person.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a Tom Hardy fan, dude. Sue me. What do you want from me? But yeah, those are just to name a few. Those are some of my favorite movies for sure.
What are some of your favorite TV shows?
Ooh, favorite TV shows, man. All right, well, I mean, one I could think of off the top of my head already, The Office is probably one of my all-time favorite shows.
100%.
There is not an episode that goes by where you can't quote something, and that is very rare. So, The Office, one of them.
That's what she said!
That's what she said! Yeah. True Detective Season 1, absolutely just a masterpiece. I feel like The X-Files, going back, I mean, it's not cheesy or anything, going back to the 90s, man, that was a huge show back in the 90s, and I absolutely loved it. Who doesn't know that theme song, right? Absolutely. And probably one that's a little bit surprising maybe to some is Netflix's The Punisher. That's just a great show, dude. Like, I feel like they really portrayed
John Bernthal. Yes.
Definitely up there too in my favorite actor category. He's definitely one of my top, at least 5. But yeah, those are some of the shows I could put in rotation.
Hide your wife, Bernthal.
Hide your wife. Hide your wife, Bernthal.
Especially if you're Rick from Walking Dead.
Yeah, you definitely.
Hide your wife.
Yeah, they just don't go well together.
So now that we've talked about some regular TV shows, let's get into some anime talk. What introduced you to anime?
I would say what introduced me to anime, circling back to what kind of got me, all of us, I would say, collecting, is my uncle. He's definitely a huge impact on anime. He introduced me to anime for sure, as far as like legitimate anime. And some of the things that he showed me as far as like anime goes I could still consider some of the best anime I've ever seen in my life. So he's a huge inspiration. And who doesn't love Pokemon?
Oh yeah.
Every kid growing up,
I wanna be the very best that no one. Go ahead.
Yeah, Pokemon is definitely another one. Independently.
Who doesn't want a first edition holographic Charizard right now?
Dude.
They're worth like, what?
10 grand probably?
No, more than that.
50 grand probably?
100%. Yeah.
100 grand probably?
Yeah.
$1 million probably?
Yeah. What's his name who just fought Mayweather? he was wearing a necklace with that card because it's worth so much right now.
Interesting. I did not.
If only we had known this. If only.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry. Sorry, I just had to say something about Charizard.
All right. But yeah, those are the two big inspirations. My uncle, and then me watching, all of us watching Pokemon when we were younger without even knowing that it was actually anime. That would be like independently what I would consider introduced me to anime, besides my uncle who introduced me to like the legit anime.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In terms of anime, what are some of your favorite shows?
All I have to do is just think of what he showed me back in the day. So I mean, definitely my favorite anime of all time can't be topped, at least for me right now, Samurai Champloo. It was a short-lived show, but it gave you enough to where it resonated, you know, and it was amazing. The story was just absolutely awesome. Cowboy Bebop is another show, older but great anime show. Afro Samurai, another short show, but amazing show. Like some of the fight scenes in that show were incredible. Like me seeing those for the first time was like, I was legit like, these are the best anime fight scenes I think I've ever seen. Yeah. And then to top off some new ones, Hunter x Hunter, another one, Attack on Titan, Hellsing. Hellsing is like one of my favorites too. So
yeah. But it's funny about the ones you named, like Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, Afro Samurai. Those are all really good English dub anime as well.
That's true.
And I think that plays a part too, because when you're younger, I think you're almost against reading subtitles when you're younger.
Yep.
So it makes sense that, you know, you don't want to read, you know, it's not cool if you read.
You just want to hear it, man. You just want to see it.
Yeah, so you just want to see it, you know, you want to hear it in English. And they had really good voice actors.
Agreed.
But moving on, we're going to go ahead and get into the Mortal Kombat review.
Fatality. Test your might.
Okay, to start us off, we're going to go ahead and get into our pre-spoiler review.
Brutality.
It's where we go ahead and describe the movie without actually spoiling anything. So yeah, just to get that started, Mortal Kombat is basically an action-packed martial arts movie. If you love action movies, if you like martial arts, you'll love this. The main character is an MMA fighter. He's pretty much chosen to be a Mortal Kombat contestant, and is pretty much guided to find the other contestants and also fight the enemies of Outworld. The movie has great CGI, great choreography to the fight scenes, and if you play the video games, you'll see some familiar faces.
Definitely will.
Definitely.
Round one.
This is the spoiler alert. We're getting right into the actual review.
Oh, my bad.
So, my first impression of the movie, I've said enough. Let's go ahead and let you talk.
First impressions, okay. I would say, generally speaking, my first impression of this movie was there's a lot of potential here. Obviously, you're working with a lot of content because they have a lot of video games at this point. There's a lot of storylines at this point, but I feel like the way they put this together, there's a lot of potential for it. I won't go into like crazy detail because it's just first impression. Yeah. So there's potential here for sure, and there definitely is enough here to warrant you actually anticipating a sequel and wanting to see a sequel. So I mean, it probably goes without saying, but I'm saying it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there's a lot of potential, especially in terms of sequels to the movie. But one thing that really stuck with me was the CGI. I thought they had top tier CGI that you see in 2021, you know? I think
what you'd expect, right?
Yeah. Except for Wonder Woman.
Sorry. We'll talk about that.
I'm sorry, but I don't know what they were thinking. But the CGI in this puts that to shame. Yeah. Every sequence with Sub-Zero, you'll know what I'm talking about. So yeah, the CGI is great. The next thing that I'd have to say is the story. My first impression that hit me in the beginning of the movie for the story was, wow. If this is Mortal Kombat and they're taking it all the way back to Scorpion's origin, wow.
Yeah.
We'll touch on what happened after that first impression here shortly.
That remains to be seen.
But yeah, that happened.
Round 2.
What parts of the movie did I like? There's a few here. I think initially, like you touched on earlier in your first impression, is the beginning of this movie blows you away. Like the beginning of this movie really sets a tone, and it reels you in pretty, like within the first 20 minutes, it reels you in pretty quick, and you're like, this movie is gonna be legit.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that was probably the best thing about this movie. There's a few more good things, but I think to me that was probably the top thing. What about you?
Yeah, I would agree 100%. The beginning of the movie, like I said earlier, is that it blew me away. The other thing that I want to touch on is the scene with Reptile. That really surprised me. Also, because I didn't think he was gonna be in this movie, it surprised me even more seeing him, and then the way you see him is he's invisible already, and then when he's not invisible, he looks like half between a lizard and Killer Croc.
Yeah, they definitely made him look pretty legit in this movie.
Yeah, and like I said, the CGI just does it justice. Yeah, I honestly, I'm like lost for words because the Reptile was so good.
Yeah, he was looking awesome for sure.
What else? What else can you think of?
Well, another thing I can think of right off the bat, because this, I would say, aside from like Scorpion, or I should say, the character who plays Scorpion, who was introduced as Scorpion. Besides him, another character who really like reels you in, who's surprisingly probably one of the better characters in the entire movie, is Kano. He was surprisingly good, and that actor they chose for Kano, I'm not sure who he is. Apologize, I'm at a loss for name here, but he played Kano perfectly, like very well, and I think that he's going to be one of those actors where you see him in a different movie, you're going to be like, hey, that's Kano.
Yep.
That's the dude who played Kano. You're not going to really see him as anybody else. That's how good he did, though.
Yep. That's the Kano dude.
Yeah, that's Kano.
That's Kano.
Yeah, exactly. So
he won't be known as anything else.
Right. So yeah, I think that he was. That's what I'm going to say. Is I'm going to tag it as Kano was surprisingly good in this movie.
Yeah.
He was surprisingly one of the best characters in this entire movie. What about you? Do you have another one?
Fatalities. Fatalities is what makes Mortal Kombat Mortal Kombat. I think that was one thing that was missed in all of the previous movies. But yeah, like I think the Mortal Kombat fans, they want to see great action, and you want to see gory fatalities.
You got to see the brutal.
The finishers.
Yeah.
Finish him!
Right?
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else? Or is that...
Well, I mean, just something you alluded to a little bit earlier. I would say this is some of the best CGI I've seen in at least a few years.
Yeah.
Like this CGI is insane. That's one of the things. That's why the beginning is so good, because not only did they set the tone with introducing the origin of Scorpion and Sub-Zero, pretty much. The CGI that is used in combination with that it's almost breathtaking.
Yeah.
It is legit CGI. Like that is some of the top tier.
Yeah.
You're not really going to get better than that in 2021 CGI.
They are the MVPs of this movie. Whatever team did the CGI give yourselves a pat on the back, because
You deserve
that
it, for
is
sure.
you guys did it.
Yeah.
You guys are the reason why this movie is as good as it is.
Yeah.
Because if this had bad CGI, I think it's like
There'd be a
a
little bit less.
2.5 on IMDb.
There'd be a little bit less good things on the list if this didn't have good CGI. So.
Exactly.
Round 3.
We'll try to be quick. There is a lot of things we can add to this. Not saying it's a bad movie, but like we said in the beginning, there's a lot of potential. So when you see that potential, you're setting a higher expectation for us, especially being kids who grew up playing Mortal Kombat.
Watching the old corny movies.
Yeah, watching the first
the
two
old Mortal
movies.
Kombat movies. Yeah.
They had their day.
Well, we will say this one's better than those, so
Yeah.
we'll just get that out of the way
Yeah.
real quick. But moving on to the things that we didn't like.
Yeah.
I feel like there was more that we didn't than we did. At least for me, personally, there was definitely more bad than good in this movie. But take it with a grain of salt, though, because keep in mind the things that we just went over as far as the good things go. Those are really good things. Now, one thing, I mean, I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but I think the biggest issue with this movie is the lack of seeing the character Scorpion for, like, okay, so I'll just make it really short, but Scorpion's introduced in the beginning. The character who becomes Scorpion is introduced in the beginning of this movie, and you are reeled in. Hanzo, exactly, and you were reeled in because of it, right? But then you don't see him for the next hour and a half. Only in glimpses do you see him, but you don't even know that it's like Scorpion yet. You know what I mean? They're kind of like building it, and then it's pretty underwhelming as far as the end when he's introduced. Not to say he's not a good character, but there definitely wasn't enough of him for sure. That is the biggest issue with this entire movie to me.
They put him as like Freddy Krueger in your nightmares.
Yeah, but
like
without
in
even
the
seeing
back.
him.
Yeah. You see like a silhouette.
Yeah.
Or his eyes.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
The mask is covering the entire thing.
Yeah. So you can't. Yeah. I mean, if you play the games, you know who the character is, but there's just no context to it. Which.
Yeah, what about you, man?
Okay.
I'm sure you probably agree
The
with
main thing I did not like about the movie was the main character's story. I think he had too many irrelevant things about him to be the main character. Like, he doesn't need a family. His power is like... He's good at getting his ass whooped, is his power. Right?
Perfect way.
So, like, it's not really a power. It's like the more he gets his ass whooped, the more energy he can release or something. Like, I have no clue, like, why they did that. Like, I don't know. I think they could have done a better job with the main character's story. I think you take out his family, you give him his sole purpose is becoming a fighter. Whether he's washed up or not, he wants to become better. Something like that.
Yeah.
Give him something people can get behind.
I have a better thing, is just take him out completely. I'm sorry.
You know, I didn't not like the actor, but I think it was pretty relevant why he's in the movie. And I think, like, this is such a guy's movie that I think they needed to try to reel in the girls by getting this dude that's a face. I'm sorry to say, but I think that's the reason why they put this dude in the movie, is because he's a face at this point. Because what else is he in? He's probably in like one or two things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not harping on the actor himself. I just think the character...
it's all writing and directing side.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with... I thought the dude was good at acting. Like, he's a good actor. But the way they put him in the movie was so irrelevant.
This character was absolutely unnecessary. Like, why? Okay, so just a quick... just ask yourself, too, like, why would they create a new character when there are so many iconic characters already that you can choose from?
Yeah.
There's like 50 characters.
Who are
I might
already
be
established.
Exactly. I might be exaggerating a little bit by 50, but
there's more than that.
there is a legit amount of characters that people know and love at this point that they want to see.
Yeah.
So why are you trying to create something and trying to get people to invest in something when they're already set on seeing something else, if that makes sense? That is the biggest knock. I feel like that, obviously we didn't see enough Scorpion, but that kind of ties into it. Like, this person is, this character is a descendant of Scorpion, and that's another huge issue with this movie is there is no development to this character. There's literally the beginning, Scorpion dies, his daughter survives, Raiden takes her away, right? You never hear from her again. You literally only find out that that baby is the main character's ancestor, right? Like he's a part of their lineage, and that's it. So that is a huge gaping hole in this story, and it's like there's just no need.
See, but that goes to potential for the next movie.
Right.
Like, close these plot holes. Like, get stuff done. Like, this next movie, when we see like these, and which leads me to my next point too. When we see these iconic characters, give them the screen time they deserve. Like, don't add characters no one knows about, no one cares about. And then, because this character has such like a great amount of time in the movie, it's taking away from these other established characters that we want to see.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know,
Take him on. Get him out.
that was the
Get him out of
other
here.
thing I just didn't like.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, I mean, there's a couple more things. I feel like another thing, this was a huge issue for me too. Like, this is almost as bad as the story, where the story went, is Goro's death. This was, and this ties into the main character too. Like, they want this character to succeed so much that he kills one of the most powerful characters in the video game in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, and he's a character whose power is like, yeah, his power is pretty cool, whatever. He has this, like, just in case, he has this suit of armor that gets engulfed on his body, right? And he can take a lot of hits and absorb all that energy and release that energy back out, become strong or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's underwhelming compared to the powers that are already established for the characters we know and love. That's like, oh, that's a cool power, but Scorpion's still my favorite. Sub-Zero is still my favorite character. Goro's still insane. You know what I mean? And then to have this character kill Goro in like 3 minutes.
With no help whatsoever, really.
Exactly.
Not really.
It's like a spit. It's like spitting in the face of the video game character Goro. It's like, dude, this was ridiculous, and he looked so good. Goro was one of the best CGI moments CGI in the entire.
You know what this is like? This is like winning by low leg kicking over and over again.
Oh man,
this is just like spamming, winning by spamming.
Get him in the
That's
corner.
what this is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just the leg sweep, leg sweep,
Yep.
leg sweep.
Hey man, you gotta do anything you gotta do to win. But I mean,
Or
in this
uppercut,
case,
uppercut.
but people don't want to see that. You know what I mean? You still win, but people don't want to see that.
Exactly, and that's the equivalent to Goro dying in this game. Was he literally died to a kid who spams?
That's true. Anyways, anything else you have?
No, I think let's get on to the next question, and then
Agreed.
if I stay on too many things I didn't like about it,
Yeah.
I start getting into this next question.
Round 4. Finish him.
Which leads me to what would we change?
Oh, yeah. You guys see where this is going.
The story. I think that they could have really made some, like I said, if you take out his family, you make him into a different character. You actually, like, what would have been really cool is if he almost became Scorpion, like incarnate, or like the new Scorpion. And the Scorpion that comes up that he keeps seeing is like within him, or something like that, where he's in this bloodline, and in this bloodline there's like ties to the old Scorpion wanting his revenge. Something like that. I think the story that they have for this character like I said earlier, there's too many irrelevancies. There's too many like characters who get killed off or who are on the back because he's the main character. I think Sonya Blade or Jax, Kung Lao, Liu Kang, any of them could have been. Raiden. Raiden is put so far in the back, you don't even know he's there.
It's true.
You know, he's like the all-powerful Earthrealm defender. But you literally see, like, if you probably totaled up his screen time, he's probably on the screen maybe 3 minutes for the entire movie.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I think I would structure the story a lot differently to make the main character or the other character shine a little bit better. How about you, man?
This kind of ties into it. Obviously, I think this is the biggest issue with the movie, and this is definitely needs to be. This is something that would be changed immediately. Is give the people what they want, man. Like they want to see the iconic characters for longer than they did. You know, especially the characters that you set the tone for the entire movie for. Let us see Scorpion for longer. Like, honestly, you see him in the very beginning as the character Hanzo, who's not even Scorpion yet, right? And then you see him as Scorpion at the end, and the end was very underwhelming. You got to give the people what they want. You got to develop more, work more off of the beginning to get to a better end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to work through that, right? And they did a decent job with Sub-Zero. I'm not gonna lie. Sub-Zero was in the movie for a good amount of time, but I feel like it was so anticlimactic for Scorpion that they definitely give the people what they want, give the characters that they want, and give them some screen time, dude. Like, put Johnny Cage in the movie. Don't try to do this build up to Johnny Cage, man. Everyone loves Johnny Cage, but not as much as they love Scorpion. Not as much as they love Sub-Zero. Johnny Cage is a badass. Don't get me wrong, but just put him in the movie, dude. Take out the main character.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I am going to disagree. In the games, Johnny Cage becomes an amazing character. He becomes more than the Hollywood action cocky dude that he was. He becomes a father. He has a kid. He becomes a husband, not so great one or whatever, but that's where like he becomes more complex. Like you see him for more than the Johnny Cage that you saw in the first movies.
Thank God.
You see him for more than that, and he becomes a really good main character.
Oh, okay. So he deserves the right to actually be maybe a front runner in the next movie.
Dude, if they cast right, yeah, he could carry this entire thing.
Wow.
But they'd have to do away with this whole chosen one or whatever they're doing with the main dude. They'd have to do away with that.
Or give him less time because he doesn't need all that time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I mean, I pretty much hit all the things that I would pretty much change.
I have one more thing.
Yeah.
Don't let Goro die like a bitch. I'm sorry. That is a huge thing for me. You cannot have this iconic character die so easily and quick.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I agree. 100% I agree.
So out of A+ to F, I would grade this movie at a solid C. Like, for the things that we mentioned in the beginning, as far as first impressions, it's definitely got potential. That is the absolute reason why this movie, they could do so much with it. So I feel like even though there are some things that we didn't quite agree with, there were a lot of things that we liked. And I feel like if they tweak a couple of things or maybe adjust those things maybe in the sequel, it's definitely could be, the next one could be really, really good. So this one is just, to me, it's just a solid movie. So I feel like CGI carried it. The first part of the movie carried it. So it's a solid C for me. It's just an average. It's not, I wouldn't say average, but it's a solid movie. So I'm gonna say C. What about you?
I'd agree with the grade for similar reasons. I think it's literally all the CGI people carried this movie 100%. They carried it on their backs uphill for miles. besides Kano. I think Kano carried the hell out of this movie for the whole middle of of this movie.
He had a lot of screen
when
time,
people are supposedly gaining their powers or awakening them. That whole part between them, montage or whatever you want to call it, Kano carried that.
And isn't it cool that how he developed his power, how he got his power?
Yeah.
That was so fitting for him. You know what I mean? Just to go off on a tangent, get hella pissed off, and then his power activates. That was dope. But I feel like they spun that really well.
That really speaks to Kung Lao. Like,
dude.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
So it really shows that he's not just all brawn, no brain. He was a smart person and a great martial artist. And actually my favorite fatality in the entire movie.
Yeah, that's a good fatality.
I'd grade it a C for the fact that it has great action. If you're looking for an action movie, and it's better than all the previous ones. They did have their time. They were good in their day.
Yeah.
But this, because of the CGI and the choreography, the action, it's a good action film. It's solid.
It's an epic movie for sure.
So that's why I'd give it a C. Now, would you say it's rewatchable?
Absolutely. For those main reasons.
Yeah.
The CGI is just too good to only watch once. You know, the fight scenes are pretty good.
Now, do you watch only the fight scenes, or do you actually watch from start to finish?
No, I want to watch from start to finish, and the reason why is because at this point I don't want to be too harsh on this, because I've only seen this film once. I think you've only seen it once too. I want to find more things, or I want to maybe find some things that I missed that maybe change my view on some of the bad things. You know what I mean? Like because the more you watch something, the more things you start to realize and find.
Yeah.
So I think for that reason, it's absolutely rewatchable start to finish. I would say more than one time. What about you?
100%. I'd rewatch it. I think I'm more inclined to watch the action scenes, or see, like I said in my intro, I like seeing people's reactions to things and like showing them things. So I would love to show Kung Lao's fatality. I would love to show the beginning. I would love to show Jax versus Sub-Zero. I would love to show Kano and the main dude and Sonya fight Reptile. Sad to say, I would not watch the Goro fight again. That was probably the worst fight in the entire movie.
It's devastating. It's not worth it.
Yeah. I think that was terrible. But I would watch, maybe to make fun of that, to be honest.
Yeah, don't do that.
But yeah, I would rewatch it, if only for the action. If only for the action.
Nice.
Now, we're going to get into something I promised, which was I want to put a question at the end of each episode. So today's question, it has nothing to do with cinema.
No, I'm not ready.
But I do want to know just how interesting this can get. Is if you had a water fountain in your house with an unlimited supply of any drink, what would that be? I'll answer mine first.
Okay, give me a second.
I'll give you a second.
All right.
Mine might be a little interesting, but I love this Japanese green tea called oi ocha. I would have a water fountain of that because, for one, I don't know if you can see, but soda is an issue here. Soda's an issue. So something that's not full of sugar, that is soda, that gets me off that, and something that I love tea. So an ice cold tea that's unsweetened, that tastes amazing.
Wow.
Oi ocha.
I did not know that. I'm gonna go the opposite route, and I'm gonna go with the sugar stuff, dude. I think, and this is something that you actually introduced me to, not too long ago. Actually, I think I only had it a couple times and 3 times in my life. But I would have a water fountain of horchata
Oh,
in my house,
man.
Because
Dude,
my, do you wake
that's
up?
such a good answer. Holy.
Man. I'm sorry.
I wasn't
'cause
expecting that.
You can get soda. You can get, you know, like diet soda.
Mhm.
You can get Gatorade. You can get all the juice and stuff. But man, horchata, dude, some authentic
The bomb.
Oh my gosh.
Bomb.com.
And this guy introduced me to, and I'm, you know, we come from the same family, so it's like, where the hell is this been? You know, like, why did I drink?
If you go to like a taqueria or any of those drive-through Mexican food places, ask for horchata.
It is a Mexican drink, and it is
You'll love
delicious.
You'll love
It could substitute desserts. That's like how delicious this
Mhm.
is. So that's my answer.
Yep. So yeah, hit us in the comments with your answers. Next time we upload, it's going to be the review for Army of the Dead, a Netflix original movie.
Hell yeah.
Hope to see you guys then. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.
Later.